An economy depends on two basic products, wheat and oil. To produce 1 metric ton of wheat requires 0.22 metric tons of wheat and 0.35 metric tons of oil. The production of 1 metric ton of oil consumes 0.01 metric tons of wheat and 0.12 metric tons of oil. Find the production that will satisfy demand for 580 metric tons of wheat and 840 metric tons of oil. The given input-output matrix A is equal to 0.22, 0.07 both in row 1 and 0.35, 0.12 both in row 2. The question, how much wheat is required to satisfy the demand? What we need to do is we're going to take the input-output matrix A and we're going to subtract it from the 2x2 identity matrix. Now that we see that we've written this out, we go ahead and subtract corresponding elements. And the given matrix in row 1 will be 0.78 and negative 0.07, and in row 2 will be negative 0.35 and 0.88. So the next thing we want to do is find I minus A inverse using a matrix calculator. We're going to go ahead and use the calculator located at www.ncsu.edu/njrows/ref2.html, which is located in Blackboard. There is a link for you to use. The first thing is to just go ahead and enter in the matrix into the calculator. Remember that we're going to enter this according to the rows, and then we'll use a colon to separate the rows. So the first row is going to be 0.78 comma, and then it will be negative 0.07 colon, just like that, then negative 0.35 comma, and then 0.88, and then we'll go ahead and click enter, and you'll see that the matrix is put into the space. Next thing we'll do is click inverse, and we now are given our new matrix as an inverse, and we will have to convert this from scientific notation. Okay, so now we see that the inverse matrix is going to be written as 1.33 in row 1 column 1 and 0.1058 in row 1 column 2. Note that over here on the right hand side where we have the output from the matrix calculator, it is written in scientific notation. This can be notated as 1.058 times 10 to the negative 1, which means that we would move the decimal point to the left one place. That's where we get the 0.1058. In row 2 column 1 we'll have 0.5288, and in row 2 column 2 we have 1.178. Now what we're going to do is take that and use this to solve the following matrix equation. Alright, so our equation x equals the inverse of I minus A times D, where D is the demand. Remember that we're looking at 580 metric tons of wheat and 840 metric tons of oil. So we'll go ahead and write the product of the matrix. Now that we've written the product, x is equal to the matrix I minus A inverse, and that's this first one right here, with row 1 being 1.33 and 0.1058, and row 2 being 0.5288 and 1.178, and we're multiplying that by matrix D, our demand, which has row 1 of 580 and row 2 at 840. We simply need to go back to the matrix calculator, enter in matrix D, and then hit multiply. So we go back to the matrix calculator, and you'll note that we still have our inverse matrix in there. So we want to go ahead and clear the input, so that way we can put in our matrix D, which in this case is going to have 580 colon 840. We'll hit enter, and then we will hit multiply, and that will give us our answer of in scientific notation. So now we have 8.599 E2 2, which is going to be 8.599 times 10 to the negative, or 10 squared. So we're going to move this 2 units over and we'll end up with 859.9, and this likewise will be 1.297 times 10 to the third power, and we'll move this 3 units to the right and we'll end up with 1297 for an answer. And that means that we're looking at roughly 860 tons of wheat and 1,297 metric tons of oil. And you'll see that when we come into MyMathLab and type 8, the rounded answer, because it says round the final answer to the nearest whole number is needed. It also states to round the elements of the inverse matrix to 2 decimal places as needed. I didn't do that. I decided to wait until the very end to do the rounding to try to mitigate round off error. So 860 metric tons is the answer. And now it wants to know how much oil is required to satisfy the demand, and that would be 1,297 metric tons. And then we are finished with the problem. So the final matrix is shown here at the bottom is x equals 860 in row 1 column 1 and 1,297 in row 2 column 1. If we were writing this out, we would want to answer this question in sentence form, and we could simply state that production requires 860 metric tons of wheat and 1,297 metric tons of oil.